Well, I've got good news and bad news for parents of elementary students. The good news is that it looks like they will remain in class this week. The bad news is job action is ramping up, and that means teachers are going to be withdrawing some services. As we know, 2 weeks ago, phase 1 of work to rule action at elementary schools across the province started, and that meant that administrative services were withdrawn. Now we are moving to phase 2 of that job action. We've got a graphic which we can put up with just some of the services that are being withdrawn by teachers starting tomorrow, elementary teachers that is. They will not be posting success criteria in the classroom. They will not plan any new field trips scheduled to occur before June 30th, 2020. They'll not serve as teacher in charge, attend meetings unless they are scheduled during instructional days or PA days, and they won't distribute any memos, letters from a school or school board. There's a host of other points that they will not be making any movement on. They won't be providing those services. Those are on our website, globalnews.ca. But certainly this comes as negotiations with multiple unions continue to drag on. And the question is whether or not the government is going to be putting forward back to work legislation if this does lead to a full-on strike. I asked Minister Stephen Lecce that question today. Are you drafting back to work legislation? Are you looking at that? Because the last time we spoke, you said you didn't want to go there.
In short, I have not. I think the focus for myself, even in a pressurized environment, is to actually stay focused on getting a voluntary agreement where all the parties could walk away with a sense of success. I want to keep kids in class. That is the priority of this government, is what the Premier has made very clear to me in my mandate.
Okay, Travis, we talked about elementary. Any update on where things stand with high school teachers?
Well, the high school teachers right now are not negotiating with the province. And in fact, there was some talk back and forth through the weekend about trying to reach a deal because this coming Wednesday, if you'll remember, there's another walkout planned of some Ontario high schools. Now, students will be in school in some high schools. However, teachers are withdrawing service on Wednesday from some Ontario high schools. The full list of boards that are participating on our website, globalnews.ca. There's so much to dig into with the minister, and we had limited time, but we wanted to start on some of the main sticking points when it comes to these negotiations, and also what parents told the government. The government's own consultation showed that 70% of parents in this province do not want increased class sizes. It also showed that mandatory e-learning is something that parents don't want either.
Yeah, I think with the fact that we made a major move on provincial classroom averages from 28 going down to 25, and likewise for online learning from a mandate of 4 to 2, actually demonstrates that we are listening to those that we govern. And obviously our objective through the process is to demonstrate that we're trying to be a reasonable force at the table.
But Minister, the results right now of that consultation are locked away in Fort Knox. There have been numerous FOI requests for that information, and parents told you not to increase class sizes.
Well, I actually think what parents expect of all the parties is to be twofold. One is making students the center of the discussion, which is why I'd rather see new monies go in the classroom, or I'd rather see an opportunity to, for example, reduce classroom sizes through innovative options that come to us.
Okay, here's a very specific question. When are you going to release the results of those consultations?
Well, we're obviously not going to prejudice the discussions happening actively with the very...
How would it prejudice the discussions, though, if you released results as to what parents told you?
It's a matter of bargaining, and I think the government has been consistent that for us, the message is listening.
The OPP recently received a raise above 2%. Landlords are able to increase their rent by 2%. MPPs like yourself received a 20% increase in housing allowances. Why is an educational worker, some who make $35,000 a year, why can't they get that raise as well?
The average income for an OSSTF teacher is $92,000, the second highest paid in the nation.
Well, they dispute those numbers. They say it's actually around 85, and they also say that you don't discuss any of the education workers, the occasional teachers who make far less than that.
Well, we were negotiating with the OSSTF, with Teachers Union. We're doing it with both. But the fact is, for OSSTF, let the record be clear, the Education Ministry data, an average income for an OSSTF teacher is $92,000. They are the second highest paid in the nation.
And you say that you want to stay laser focused on keeping kids in the class and being at the table. Now, ETFO is negotiating with the government today but they don't have any further dates for negotiation. OSSTF, the same thing, no further dates for negotiation. So how is that being laser focused on keeping kids in the class if there are no bargaining dates scheduled in the future?
Yeah, we are with that vote today, as you rightfully mentioned, and one other support worker union. We're negotiating in good faith with all the parties. We've called on OSSTF to bring forth additional days to the mediator. We stand ready. We're never going to leave the table. We're never going to walk out on kids in class. And the bottom line is the ball is in OSSTF's court. We've made major moves. It's now time they do the same. The taxpayer of this province wants us to be reasonable.
So it's anyone's guess how long this battle between teachers' unions in the province and the Ministry of Education and Minister Stephen Lecce will continue. But one thing is for sure, it is affecting students, and it's very confusing for parents as well. We know that job action is happening. Phase 2 of Work to Rule will happen in elementary schools in the province starting tomorrow. On Wednesday, we are going to see that walkout as well of high school teachers. So if you want much more on this, we've got a full breakdown in terms of those job escalations and more of the negotiations on our website, globalnews.ca.